So this is an old chart of Suriname, and so this is the border, I think, here. That's the border with Guyana, and that's the border with French Guyana. There's only one road that goes to Moengo, but we're kind of going along like this.
So the other concern about sailing up this river is the water is really thick and heavy with mud, and there's a lot of debris in the water which you can't see because you can barely see an inch underneath the surface of the water. So obviously it's a concern that if it gets sucked up into the cooling system, then the engine's going to overheat. The other thing is when you switch the engine on, all that muddy water is still left in there, and it could just kind of clog up the tubes. So it's funny, you swap one set of problems out of salt water with another set of problems in fresh water.
As we travelled further upriver, there seemed to be more hazards to look out for.
So there's actually trees stuck in the middle of the river.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be, you and me, we're family.
So we've got another early start, 6:30, and we're going to see how far we can get up the river with the tide. Then I think we're going to drop anchor a little bit later on when the tide turns, and then carry on later on this evening. So it's just a day of travelling to try and get as far up towards Moengo, and hopefully we can get there within 2 days now.
With the current being so strong in this river, you can only really travel when it's either slack or going in the right direction. On this journey, the best time to travel was mornings and evenings. The great thing about homeschooling is that you can start when it suits you. So for us, this meant starting early in the morning while we travelled. And I suppose we couldn't complain about the schoolroom. So we dropped anchor on the first night, hoping that the holding was good, because it's not possible to check it with these currents and this visibility. Well, that's 40 metres down, that's twice as much.
Okay.
40 metres!
So another 7 o'clock start this morning.
It rained last night, but there's like the deck is covered in what looks like mosquitoes, but we're not sure it is. But they're all dead, so we don't know why they all died on our boats. But because it rained, I thought it would give the deck a good wash. Actually, it's now covered in insects.
I guess that's one thing that doesn't come across on camera a lot, is the amount of bugs in this place. The flies, the mosquitoes, the spiders, the ants. It's like a constant battle to keep them at bay. It doesn't matter how many defences you put up, they all seem to sort of get through them, particularly the mosquitoes.
Those flies really bite, and a little bit of blood comes out after they bit you. It's horrible. Right, so we're just at the point where the river divides into the Kotika River, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but it begins with P, but that's, we're taking the left turn, and we're going to carry on that way.
Literally just went boom into the forest, and I don't know if he run aground or something, but you should look at the boat.
Okay, well, I kind of thought the engine was overheating, and so I went down to grab a quick laser pointer, and then the laser pointer didn't have a battery in it, typical. So then I was kind of looking around for a battery, and then I suddenly realised it was taking a long time, and then Rowan suddenly shouted, "Who's on watch?" And we suddenly looked around and everybody was down below, nobody was on watch. So we rushed up, and just as we came up we were just going into the jungle. So I managed to put it in reverse quite quickly so we could sort of didn't go right into the bushes, but we did collect quite a lot of wildlife and flora and fauna on the solar panels and the deck, which is now to sweep up.
Oh my lord, there's so many grasshoppers everywhere! Who was on watch before?
Well, technically, Rowan was on watch.
Is this true, Rowan?
No, I was never told this. I wasn't aware.
Who was the last person on deck?
It doesn't mean I was on watch. And no, I wasn't, because I was going down to check what Mum was making.
Yeah, but I'd already gone down there to get the laser point.
I didn't really realise that I was the only one on deck because you'd gone down, and no one told me I was on watch. I just kind of went down because.
So no one told Rowan I was on watch?
Technically, I was on watch. I should have handed over the watch, but I didn't expect the last person on the deck to go down below when there was nobody else on deck. My mistake. I was on watch. It was my watch. My fault.
After that adventure into the jungle that we didn't really want to do, yeah, we have a lot of interesting animal species on our boat now. We've got extra spiders, grasshoppers. We didn't get any snakes, but we've got a lot of other bits and pieces. I think we're lucky the dinghy didn't break, actually. So we've got to one of the first villages that's sort of further down the river. We don't think there's any roads to these villages, so we're going to go past it and just see how friendly they look, and if we decide to stop, we'll probably anchor just past it. Right, so we've got this next village, and there's one dude there on the shore side, and he said we're very welcome. So here we go. We're going to anchor first. So we just popped by this little village just on our way down the river, and because all the kids were kind of shouting at us from the shore, so we just come and having a little wander around the village. One thing I've noticed, they've all got these little houses, and next to them they've got these little cooking huts, so they make their fires in these separate little huts, and that's where they cook everything. We also noticed the Wi-Fi reception was quite good here, with the huge telephone mast sticking out of the jungle. It was soon time to row back to our sailboats anchored out. Okay, some of the things that don't often happen at anchor are like you have a tree that gets stuck on your anchor chain. So this is the tree.
Oh, strawberries!
I don't think there's strawberries there, some kind of fruit though.
So Mum and Dad and me went up, and then we saw a massive tree. Well, I wouldn't say massive, I would just say tree.
Please don't do that.
Here. It's on a bough. So
this is the rest of the tree. It's actually probably as big as our boat. Forward. Shall I try and push on that side?
yeah, we're in the Amazon, and we knew there was like loads of like twigs and stuff going down the river, but we didn't know things like a log. Pretty surprised actually.
Right, chain's loose now.
Yeah, but the snubber's holding it.
Oh, the snubber, okay, I'll do the snubber. Right, so we can't get the tree trunk off the anchor chain because it's just stuck fast with the current. So we're thinking like the current's due to change soon, it'll go slack and then it'll start going the other way. So then it should come off unless it goes round with the boat at the same time. So we've got this problem now that with that big log, we've got things collecting up on that now. So we've got this massive bamboo stick that I'm going to try and get off.
White Pearl, over.
Hi White Pearl, this is Mothership. Just let you know we've freed the log. It's heading your way, but I think it's going to miss you. Over.
We're having a look for it.
Yeah, it's over on your starboard side.
I'll see it, yeah, okay. It's quite a trunk, yeah.
Okay, we'll speak to you later then. Stand by.
Okay, see you later.
So the good news is that we managed to get the tree trunk off our anchor chain. The bad news, it's probably going to come back when the tide turns, and hopefully it will not get caught on our chain this time. So we were going to carry on tonight to try and get a little bit further because we're trying to get to Moengo because of that trunk, and because it's taken so long for the tide to turn, we decided we're going to stay here tonight. It looks like there might be a storm coming as well, so that's always not a good idea to leave, you know, trying to anchor when it's raining and in an unknown place. But so here we are tonight in the rainforest again. It's I feel really loud because there really is no other sound. You don't really get much more remote than this. All we can hear is the sound of the birds as usual always, and the monkeys come out every now and then, and it looks like, yeah, the wind's picking up a bit, so you hear the trees rustling. Nice to have our friends, you know, back there. Oh, there's the snakes as well, always hoping there's no snakes that are going to swim along and try and launch on our boat. In fact, tonight I'm going to be shutting all the hatches. But basically, since I saw that snake yesterday and the speed at which it climbs up the mangrove, it could easily just climb up our anchor chain. It could probably just slither up our side of our boat, really, to be quite honest.
Floating island with like thriving plants and stuff, and probably lots of snakes. And because the current is going up and down, it's probably going like that throughout the whole Amazon, and probably snakes on there like us that have just explored the world, except instead the world has been the Amazon jungle.
We're going to watch the rainforest go to sleep and the night stuff come alive. It's raining again. What a surprise. The next morning we carried on further upriver. I forgot to mention that there are no electronic charts that you can use to navigate these rivers by, but there is one paper chart that White Pearler got hold of, and we were using that to navigate with. So we stopped just by this little creek that goes round the river, and eventually it will form into an oxbow lake. So all you people that are studying geography out there will know what an oxbow lake is.
The classic oxbow lakes here, 3 in a row. We're just passing one there.
We're going to go and have a look. The best way to move around these smaller creeks is to use the tidal flow to your advantage, which means turning your engine off and drifting down with the current. This means you also get to experience more. We can hear some howler monkeys in the trees, and they sound like they're getting closer, and it sounds like there's a lot of them.
Mother!
We got 3/4 of the way round and the creek started to get really overgrown. And then we encountered a massive log in the way. We wanted to see if we could get our dinghy over it. So we were trying to get over that log, and so I was standing on one side and it was just slightly going down, then Woody standing on the other side, and the whole thing just started sinking, and I just started sinking in the water, so I lost my flip-flops came off.
That's not a good idea.
On the movie.
All I could think about was getting back in the boat because I didn't really want to be in that water. If Woody stands in it, the log will go down.
Oh, Rowan, we could push them. Rowan, we could push them.
Yeah, we
I
can
think
push
it's not
it.
a good idea to go further.
You stand in it.
Don't fall in.
Guys, make you very special.
You're over. Yeah, have a look over there.
I think anything you necessarily don't want to meet is probably in this water. Okay, so we thought this river would go all the way round and we'd be able to get through, but at the other side, we're only like 1/4 of a way to go. It's now just completely blocked off. It's just completely been taken over by the mangroves. So we're going to have to go all the way back round now, which is not great because our engine's very hot and the tide's against us as well. And then it started raining. We rowed for a bit, and then when we got to the part of the river where the current was the strongest, we put our engine on to get back to our boat. We have reached our destination. We have gone all the way up the Kotika River to Moengo. This is where we anchor, and then we start heading back down the river again. But ever since the end, we've been, as we've been passing all these villages, and some people are just looking at us like, because they probably haven't seen a boat since definitely March, and maybe they haven't seen many before that either, because I don't think many people come up this river. But I think it's about 80 miles something, and we've been going with the current. It's been good fun.
The crew are rebelling. They're starting to eat the supplies.
Rations.
Okay.
It was really cool to have arrived and get the Optimist out for some small boat adventures.
I spent so long just wondering. For years I was adrift.
We are heading into town.
Motionless and wayward, lost like a swallow on a cliff. But slowly I found purpose and my life became more clear.
Very quiet. It's right next to a big industrial site, abandoned one, so it's very eerie.
Already everywhere.
We actually went to a veg store yesterday and said to the guy, you know, we'll come back tomorrow to get some stuff. We just want sort of basic sort of salad stuff and a few fruit and veg. And he's got the most random stuff, like stuff from the jungle and like big bunches of spring onions. What's it called?
Maripa.
Maripa. I think he kind of anticipated that we were just going to spend all of our money on everything he's got. But when we started getting a bit more selective, he didn't like it that much and started overcharging. And it's a shame really, because you know, you come to places like this, you do want to help the local economy. You know, you don't want to kind of just turn up with a boatload of stuff and not spend the money when you're in places like this, because the economy is suffering. Anyway, we sorted it out. We got a few things that we wanted and a few things we didn't want.
We got some pineapples and loads of mango. Right, Ewan?
Yeah.
What's your favourite fruit?
Lychee.
Right, this is lychee, and we got some kind of forest oranges, which actually are quite sour.
And then came back to the boat, and then it was quite nice actually. We saw the local school bus going past the boat. You know, it was just basically one of the long canoes that they drive around here. And saw all the kids, and all the kids were waving.
By far the most exciting thing for Ewan was to celebrate his 9th birthday in the rainforest.
That was Moengo, a bit of a strange town. I think the bauxite mining closed down in 2015. It meant that there was a lot of poverty there. And it's rather strange actually. Every now and again you'll see this ultra luxury car like a Lexus or something, and somebody with designer clothes getting out of it. Not the nicest of places we've ever visited, but interesting all the same.
It's surprising how deep some of these rivers are, so it's not always possible to find a good anchorage with the right depth. This is our last night in this kind of remote part of the river really. We're just going to drop anchor here because it's getting dark now, and next to White Pearl, no villages around, nobody really. It always feels quite remote in this sort of very muddy kind of river and surrounded by this forest. I'm going to miss this quietness and remoteness, but yeah, back to a bit of civilization, and we want to go out to the coast a bit really tomorrow. We want to go and see if we can find the turtles on the beach, so that's our next adventure. But yeah, this will be the last night anchoring in this river.
It's just wait to when the tide is turning, then we know it's over.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any hurry. I think it'll probably, by the looks of things, be between 8 and 9 tomorrow.
Favourite thing about today, Ewan?
Daddy brought a machete and he got to play with it and he got to chop the grass.
But that can't go in the YouTube videos, you might as well just not bother with it. You can't put about weapons with kids.
Why?
A big thanks for watching, and especially thanks to our patrons who make these videos possible. If you'd like to become part of the Patreon family, then follow the link in the description below, or just put Mothership Adrift Patreon and I'll take you to the right place.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be.
We would really love to hear from you, so if you'd like to leave comments, then go to our Facebook page or Instagram, or even to our Patreon page where you can connect to us immediately.
Stay by your side, oh, hey, you'll always be.